Can I go? Okay. All right, so today we're going to talk about a silo of what I spoke to Jack Andrews about on a broad level with the growth in Utah. And today we're going to focus on the 2034 Winter Olympics. Those are coming in just short of a decade from now. And we're going to kind of draw some parallels and see like what happened in 2002. What did that do to the state? How did it benefit the state? What were the outcomes? And then what do we have to look forward to moving towards 2034? And what are the risks? What are the opportunities? And what does it mean for the state in general? So I'm excited to talk about that stuff. It's going to be really good. We are also going to kind of focus on, so the KEM C Gardner Institute did a full report on the 2034 Olympics. It's brand new too. It just came out a few weeks ago. And they frame this as the decade of decision for the state. So it's almost like a do or die moment for the state, and lots of big things that have to be considered.
Blow up or implode.
Yes, and interestingly, it has to do with a lot of the comments that were made on our last episode with Jack.
Oh, cool.
There were some people kind of like passionate about certain things as we were talking, and some of that stuff is mentioned in this report from KEM C Gardner. So I'm excited to talk about all that stuff. It's going to be really good, action-packed, and we would love your engagement and comments as well, because it helps us create more episodes that answer the questions and address the details that you're all passionate about and want to learn about. So anyway, without further ado, here we go. Welcome to Loans Elevated. I was thinking about this morning, getting prepped for this episode, and I was like, you know what's cool? Somewhere in this report, it said a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens to be the second time in my life that I'll experience the Winter Games right here at home, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
But you were only like 3 or 4 years old, right?
I remember being in the back of my parents' Dodge Durango, going to look at the torch, and that's it.
I am hyped because I mean, I was not that old either. I was somewhere in I think maybe I was 13 or something like that, or 14 back then. But it's going to be fun. Like, I can't wait to take my kids to go see the opening ceremonies, go to some of the events, watch the snowboarders. Well, like, it's going to be cool.
In 2030, it sounds like long ways away. It's not. And preparations already started in the state. We only have one other Olympic Games in the States between now and then. I think it's in LA.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to...
But you know what's crazy? So that's about 9 years away. Uh-huh. That means my kids are all going to be teenagers. One of them is going to be almost 18.
And you're going to be old.
18. Be old. It's crazy.
I know. I know and you probably run into this too, and I've talked to clients that are moving from out of state, a good percentage of them talk about the games coming up.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's in the forefront of people. If people immigrating to Utah, they're thinking about it.
Oh, for sure. And we're all thinking about it. And it's a very deep topic. So I did a bunch of research, and we'll just kind of talk about this stuff, but I'll kind of frame this. So 2002, I was shocked to learn this. 2002 ended up with the total budget for the games ended up with a $40 million surplus. So they had a $40 million
left over.
Yes, and here's what's crazy. That was after a $40 million endowment fund to fund upkeep and improvements to the facilities that were built for the games. Wow. So that was basically self-sustaining.
Okay, my question for you, and maybe you don't know the answers to this, but does that include like all the infrastructure that was built, like the roads and stuff? Because
No.
Okay, gotcha.
That's just putting on the games.
Okay, gotcha.
But the crazy thing is, this is cool. The state of Utah was reimbursed $59 million for their investment to build the Utah Olympic Park.
Oh, cool.
So as I understand it, outside of long-sustaining, probably public bond financed improvements, like we'll dive into some of this stuff here momentarily, but those are expenses that the state faced that improved the state and did so much for the state long term, still continuing to serve the state in a big way. But as I understand it, $40 million profit for the committee that was over the Olympics. That after the $40 million that was invested in an endowment fund to fund all of this stuff and keep those facilities self-sustained, and the state got reimbursed all of their investment for the games specifically, which is crazy to me. So it's basically a no cost for the state except for, to your point, infrastructure. Now, the crazy thing is this is framed as community beneficial investments. So Utah, it's kind of like homeowners owning real estate. Did you get the home for free? No, but you still own the asset, and there's still a significant benefit for you as a homeowner long term. That's kind of how this stuff is viewed for Utah and the residents long term, is there is improvements that were made that serve the community forever. Right. And the total retained value, so this includes transportation, resorts that were built, venues that were built, housing, like event-related housing that was built, hotels, plus like other civic improvements like telecommunications and things. Same stuff is happening for 2034, but almost 25 billion in today's dollars. So it was less than that back then, but it's in today's appreciated dollars, $7.25 billion in community beneficial investment. So in other words, $7.25 billion in improvements that were made to the state because of the games that we're still benefiting from today, which is crazy. 2002. So how that breaks down, I-15 reconstruction and tracks, those were created and partially funded by the games, and we'll talk about how that works, but that's like $4 billion of it. Resorts, we got Park City, the canyons, Deer Valley and Deer Crest, Snow Basin, so on and so forth.
Were those not resorts before?
Apparently not. I'm not 100% sure, but they're saying those were either built or improved because of the Winter Games. Right. Which, imagine like how much that brings to the state in tax revenue and travel or tourism, I should say, into the state because that stuff now exists.
Oh, for sure.
It's insane. Like never ending.
What was making national news last year? Remember all the strikes that were going on? Was that 2 years ago last year? The strikes at the ski resorts and stuff?
Because of the...
And that was impacting revenue.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, for the state, for everybody. Yeah, it was crazy. Utah Olympic Park, again, speed skating oval. Rice-Eccles Stadium, apparently, was dramatically improved for that.
Oh, I think that's what the opening ceremony was.
It was, yeah. But I don't know what... I didn't dive deep enough to understand exactly what the improvements were. But so we had the Olympic Village, Camp Williams, different housing. That was like $258 million. This is crazy. Grand America Hotel was built for the '02 Olympics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, me either. $332 million.
Wow.
I think cost.
And that's known as the premier hotel. Like when people come in, that's where they go.
Any celebrity stays there. Yep. Any speaker, any athletes, everyone stays there. It's crazy. Apparently there was a Marriott, Hotel Monaco.
Conventions there. I mean, that's gnarly.
Yeah. Hotel Monaco was built too, which I didn't know. Stein Erickson.
That's up in Deer Valley, yeah?
Yeah. So it basically created the destination of Utah.
Yeah,
Those are two games.
All of that stuff is what Utah's known for.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Pretty cool. And then also like apparently some other things that I don't really understand, but utility improvements, museums being built, so on and so forth, which all of these things are framed in a way that these continue, and it's obvious, continue to support the economy in Utah. So the short of it is...
Are all these numbers come from KEM C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. All this comes from KEM C Gardner. The short of it is, like, this was a massive win for the state, and for eternity. It's the state is profiting because of these things that were done, which is pretty cool. Tracks was created, which obviously, I mean, I don't use Tracks a lot, but I know tons of people who use it.
Even our team members do.
On like a daily or weekly basis.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. So that's pretty cool. Kind of put the state on the map. So that's what '02 did, which I was shocked by. I didn't realize how big or how positively impactful
Same here.
'02 was.
I knew it had some sort of impact with I-15 because you drive past, you see the underpass, all say Olympics.
Yeah,
in
2002 Olympics, It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, 2034. So now we move in, and there's a few pretty interesting topics here, which is, let me just pull this up here.
And while you're pulling that up, for those of you who don't know, KEM C Gardner, they are paid to just research as a whole. For better or for worse, they're just going to give us the facts out of your University of Utah, correct?
That's right, yeah. They're an academic facility that's designed to just give us the information.
They don't benefit from telling us one thing or the other. Exactly,
right.
Yep.
So a couple things that is that's crazy. This is obvious. This is apparently so the SLC-UT2034.org. That's the 2034 Winter Games website. Looking at this is cool. It's a bipartisan approval. Like all of the politicians approve of this. 82% of residents, when polled, approve of this, which is cool. Mm-hmm. So it's not a contentious thing. But the other crazy thing is all venues are in place. So they are not going to have to acquire any new land, build any new venues.
Wow.
None of that stuff for these new Winter Games.
They're just using all the existing from O2?
Yeah. And there's some improvements being made to some of these facilities. And obviously there's going to be tons of marketing and tons of staffing. And there's going to be a lot that goes into it. But nothing needs to be purchased. And there's no state budget for it. Zero.
Oh, wow.
It's all privately funded.
Wow.
Is that nuts?
Yeah, so that means that our tax dollars aren't going towards this.
Right. Except for the, again, going back to like the improvements that last forever.
Right.
We are going to improve. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this, but
I mean, that's a no-brainer as a taxpayer because at that point, you're
right.
just getting all the benefits later on anyways. And it's
well, and we all want it anyway. We want I-15 widened.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the docket because of the 2034 games, right? So there's certain things that are going to happen because of that, which is cool. Kind of goes to the report's, claim of the decade of decision. There's certain things that it's like we're at a do or die moment in many ways. Mm-hmm. But, I just heard, and I don't know for sure, but I own a rental property, as you know, in Draper, near the freeway. And I just heard that within the next few years, because of this expansion, they're likely to eminent domain my property. Because of the widening. And it's near the frontage road. So I'm like, I don't know how wide this thing's going to get, but they're going to buy my house.
Oh, shit.
Is that crazy?
That is gnarly.
A whole development they're going to buy.
Damn.
I know, it's nuts. So things are well underway. I mean, and I heard that before I even started doing this research. But anyway, so now let's talk about kind of like plans, budgets, economic impact going into 2034. And then after that, we'll dive deeper into what are the pros? What are the cons? What are the big, some existential issues that we face leading up to this? What were you going to say?
Were you old enough to recognize, like, was the state busier then? Like, do you remember that at all? No?
I just remember getting on a school bus and going up, like, we had a field trip to go up to see some of the Winter Games.
Oh, fun.
And I remember going to, what's the donut place? Krispy Kreme. That was brand new back then. I remember going in that parking lot on the school bus, which is weird, and getting fresh Krispy Kreme.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's weird how things stick in your mind.
For sure.
Okay, so the event.
What was our population then versus now?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Let's just ask. Yeah, Jamie.
Jamie, yeah.
Population 02 to 2025.
We've got Ryan in the background.
It does talk a little bit about that here on some of these details that I put together, but it was a lot of research that I was doing. 2.3 million in 02. And today is what, 3.5 million?
So
Dang,
we're roughly
75% more population.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a lot. And I read that we are gaining, which we've seen this, we talk about this in our industry in mortgages all the time, but we're gaining 50,000 new residents every year of net in-migration. So that takes out the people moving out and nets in the people moving in, 50,000 more residents. And the crazy parallel this drew is it said, and I don't know if this is accurate, but it's what I was doing on the research, and this is what it said. That's like the equivalent of adding a Murray city every year.
When you think of it like that, that is gnarly because Murray's in the heart of Salt Lake County.
And it's big.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
So it's not crazy to think that our population could be double.
Yeah.
By the time
well, you think from 02 to now, we're 23 years, so we got another decade. So, I mean, I don't know that it'll be double by the time. It'll be double what it was in 02.
What I meant. That's what I meant. Double from 02. Yeah.
Yes. And I think it'll be dramatically more than that because it's like if we grow, I don't know. I have to see. Because that's just net immigration, people moving in 50,000.
Right.
That doesn't include just general population growth, which we'll get into some of those things. But there will be 3 billion global viewers throughout the individual people, eyeballs seeing this. So 6 billion eyeballs, 3 billion unique people, 15 billion hours of viewership of the games. And you think of how much that promotes Utah. I mean, Utah's on the map right now. We know this. But what's going on in my mind, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself here because I do want to riff on this a little later after we get some of this data out. But if you don't own real estate in Utah now before these games, I'm fearful, which it's one of the issues, you're SOL if you don't own real, because like you have 3 billion people watching the games and realizing, wow, that's a beautiful place. It's already on the map and it's growing and it's going to be even better significantly 9 years from now. So anyway, let's talk about this operating budget. So there's a total budget of $3.99 billion. So about $4 billion for a total budget for the 2034 games. None of it funded by the state.
And none of it's going towards building anything.
Right. Or acquiring or anything like that. So that's all just like...
Just improvements.
Yeah, improvements, advertising, promotion, probably security, just all that stuff. I tried to get a more detailed description of the operating budget, and I wasn't necessarily able to get...
Do you by chance have a budget from like the last Winter Games? Not here, but...
It was... but the last Winter Games, so I do have that. Let me just look here. The interesting thing is, though, that the 02, there was a ton of land that had to be purchased and a ton of infrastructure. Yeah. Not like civic infrastructure, but like they had to go build the runs and build the venues. Yeah. And wow, it was only $1.9 billion.
Good job.
For the
it was
equivalent
Beijing.
budget. Beijing. $1.9 billion for the budget in 02. So it's about $2 billion more.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. Okay, so let's keep going here. Again, no state or local taxpayer dollars are going to fund the actual operations of the games. Domestic partnerships, so that's just like there's families investing, companies investing, so on and so forth, $1.8 billion. That's where the budget's coming from. Ticketing sales and hospitality revenue, $1.2 billion. Is that crazy?
Holy cow.
Yeah, $1.2 billion.
Are tickets already on sale, or is that just projections?
I don't know. Probably just projections. We got to figure that out.
Gotcha.
Oh, so philanthropic donations, they've already raised $200 million from philanthropic donations, and the target is $300 million. Seems like they're going to get there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the costs go to workforce, technology, the actual ceremonies, so the events, temporary facilities and venue upgrades, which is cool. Because, again, those venue upgrades are going to keep serving us forever, and that costs the state nothing, which is pretty interesting. And then support. Now, here's what I thought was crazy. New spending into Utah over the decade, 24 to 34, is $2.4 billion in spending into Utah, net of purchases that take some of that revenue out of Utah. $2.4 billion. So there is total state GDP, which is money that circulates just here, is as a result of this includes the infrastructure from the state and the games, is about $4 billion. 42,000 job years created. So over 42,000 working years because of these Winter Games. Great for the economy. Now, this is what's crazy, too. Those 42,000 job years create, guess how much personal income for Utah residents that creates? Personal household income.
I couldn't even tell you.
Over these 10 years, $2.5 billion in personal household income that's going to be created from these Winter Games for Utah residents.
How long are the actual games? It's not longer than 30
it's like
days.
A few weeks, a couple weeks.
That's stupid.
Yeah, think about the cost per day.
Wow.
It's pretty gnarly. So anyway, that's a huge opportunity. I mean, it's going to grow the economy in a really big way, create tons of income on top of what's already a really healthy state and really healthy economy in general. Now we'll dive into some of that decade of decision stuff, but I think just in general, this is a huge opportunity for everybody that's here if you view it that way and if you capitalize and think through it. Any comments on that?
I think it's tough for a lot of people, and maybe we're going to dive into this later, and we saw some of his comments. And maybe it's less than what we actually think. The people that just are against it speak a lot louder than the people that are for it. I think there's some people out there that don't want this, though, because of
apparently 18%.
Right, 18% because of, and for various reasons, but I think that they don't want people knowing about Utah. But I think that's already too late. The secret's out. It's been out for years.
That is the hard thing. You know, I see some of those comments and some of the, you know, people we talk to and stuff, and it's like turning it into LA or turning it into Southern California or whatever. People draw these parallels and they're like, oh, great job, Utah, you know, way to wreck a great place. And it's like, that is true. But the reality is growth is just inevitable. So, and we did it pretty darn well in 2002 through now.
It might as well just take what we don't like from the other states and learn from it and implement it here, right? Like that should be the goal, not that growth is the demon.
Right. Because it's like, what are you going to do? It's like,
it's going to happen.
It's a beautiful place and it's already happening.
There's a reason we like living here.
Right. 100%. Now I will say that in the future, I probably intend to not be right here in Salt Lake. I don't know, maybe I'll have a condo or something. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I did like the smaller feel of Utah before it was so big and obnoxious. But
we say that now, but now you can go, date nights are a lot more fun now than they were
way better
10 years ago.
Yeah. True. And I think as things sprawl and we get more improvements with, like you look at all that stuff being built. Have you been out to Saratoga and Eagle Mountain recently?
Yeah, during rush hour.
It sucks, but you see all the construction with those roads that are about to
You never
open?
have to leave, though, either, because there's so much out there, too.
True. But they're getting huge corridors built. That's going to free up a lot of that.
Which
bring more
also
growth
adds
out
to the
further.
traffic
And to your point, you don't have to leave. There's probably going to be more employment, more opportunity out there. So, anyway, so now the decade of decision. So they break it down in this report to the magnificent seven. So the big 7 strengths that Utah holds.
Oh, cool.
Which is pretty cool. So number 1, economic dynamism and industrial diversity. So this is crazy. We have the number 1 national GDP growth in Utah. And we have which is very cool, a balanced base across tech, manufacturing, finance, energy, outdoor and tourism. And I would just say also military complex. Like we have a broad
mining.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it wasn't in there. So like we have such a broad economy, and it's getting even more. Like with the rail coming in and the inland port being supported and all of this stuff. I mean, it's like,
which I think is good for risk mitigation too, because we don't have happened to us what happened with Detroit.
Right.
Which, I mean, it was one of the top, I think it was don't quote me on this, but I think it was one of the top economies in the world for a minute because of all of the auto manufacturing. And then all of a sudden that got outsourced and it turned into a ghost town and values went to shit.
Well, you know what's interesting is we think about like the parallels that people are drawing from different states. Like you just said, Michigan's a good point. But then like a lot of these people are saying, oh, great job, way to turn it into LA, way to turn it into here. It's like, okay, well, I guess SoCal has a lot of military, but in general, those populations are so big. But there's one major, there's two, I should say, from my point of view, and maybe I'm being too baseline here with it, but there's 2 major catalysts for California in general, and it's Hollywood in LA, and you've got the actors, and that's high. There's a pretty uniform agenda with that business.
Right.
They push one thing, they lobby for one or the same thing. Yeah. It's all one thing. Tech, probably different than Hollywood, but they push and lobby for the same things, and those are the 2 catalysts or dynamics in California at large that are driving the direction of that state. Here, this is something that I'm just kind of thinking through as you said that. It's like, well, I don't think tech and manufacturing and finance and energy and tourism and military and all of these very diverse economic sectors all planted here in one place are going to be pushing politically and economically for the same thing.
No, it's going to keep each other honest. It has to. I mean, they're just so
balance.
Different.
So that's interesting. We should do some more research on that, but I think that's a unique thing about Utah, and obviously it is. It says it's one of the 7 top things, but it's like that probably keeps us, to your point, it causes us to almost certainly learn from the mistakes of others because we're just too diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We're not one flock of sheep going in one direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a variety of flocks with a variety of different needs and
there's been no monopoly created here,
right? Which is pretty cool. So anyway, high household income and low poverty rates. So $98,000 median household income in Utah.
Really?
Is that nuts? Almost
We're about to break
$100,000
six
median.
figures. Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. Now, there's only 6.7% in poverty.
Where does that rank amongst the countries
Like,
you know? It's got to be top 5.
Some of the best. Top few. 3, 4, 5, something like that. Among the best in the nation for poverty levels. And the cool thing is, going back, we're diverse. So we're not like, we read that book a long time ago, Anti-Fragile. And I don't know that this specifically speaks to that, but it's like, really the challenges we face will cause the others to bolster up and kind of pick up the slack. We're in such a good position. I'm proud to be a Utahn.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay, so number 2 was the household income and low poverty rates. Number 3, upward mobility. So it talks about there are strong pathways economically. So socioeconomics, there are strong pathways to getting into the middle class in Utah.
Okay.
And I think that's, again, goes back to, like, there's a lot of it, but I don't feel like we don't have in Utah in general, we don't have like projects where socioeconomically people are kind of corralled into a lower class. We don't have that really here in Utah. It's so broad. You've got different earnings, different types of people, different like religious beliefs and political beliefs and all different things in all of the communities all around. So it causes this.
Even within a couple miles. It's funny you say that. I had someone visiting from Nevada a couple weeks ago, and he was like, you know what I find weird in Utah is in one neighborhood you can have multi-million-dollar houses, but then the next neighborhood over, it's just normal middle class.
And it's the next street over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I'm like, well, there is no lines here. Now there's going to be nicer areas. Of course, you go to Park City, it's going to be way more expensive. But in the valley, it can be pretty different street to street.
Yeah, everywhere. And I mean, it's probably not perfect, but from a grand view of the country, we have the ability to maintain and build upon a middle class, unlike other states in the nation, which is, I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't even know that. Widespread prosperity, it says, so growth is not confined to a single metro, kind of like we're talking about now. There's a lot of even income distribution kind of all over the whole Wasatch Front. You talk about the Wasatch Back. Yes, that's overpriced, but a lot of that's overpriced because of people that don't live here. So this is talking about the actual community here that it's talking about. So I thought that was really cool. Well-trained workforce. So apparently 47% of adults hold post-secondary credentials, and it says strong K through 12 to workforce pipelines. So we've got people evidently, we know this. We have a young population with a pipeline of new workers to come. So we can sustain this with our population, which is really cool too. And that actually leads us into number 6 of 7, which is we have about 3.5 million residents as of 2025. The median age is only 32.4 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's the youngest population in the nation.
That's gnarly.
That's really cool. And you think about all
young
this,
millennials.
For sure, right? You think about all this stuff, like people talk about aging populations in other countries and how big of a risk that is for those economies. Like, we have the literal opposite of that here in Utah, which is pretty cool. Obviously, on a macro scale, there's issues in the U.S. in general, but I was also disappointed that I'm above the median. I'm like, damn, I am old.
Just wait till the Olympics is here, bro.
And then it says social cohesion, which is cool, and I certainly see this. Like, it says high volunteerism, civic engagement, unified political support for the games, and big projects. So we kind of talked about that. But in general, politics here are in support of the big things that are happening. There's not a lot of internal conflict, which allows our state to move more efficiently than others. Right. But also as a community, we are more engaged than most in the nation, which is pretty cool. So that's the magnificent 7, the good things of Utah. Now we dive into the troubling 7, which is something we'll talk about and hits the points of a lot of the passionate comments from the last episode with Jack.
About 18%.
Yes. So these are constraints that the games will magnify. It won't necessarily create these because they're constraints that exist now, but they're things. This is where the decade of decision really, like, this is where rubber meets the road. So obviously we know this, housing affordability and homelessness. So we are, I think we're the 6th most expensive state in the nation for housing.
Wow.
Something like that. And inventory has continually lagged population growth, which just keeps pouring fuel on the fire. And we know this. It's what we preach all the time. Homelessness pressures are rising. You know what's interesting, and I'll go a little bit out of turn here, but number 7, so it says homelessness pressures are rising, and number 7 says we have behavioral health issues. Like we have a crisis apparently in Utah with behavioral health. So I'm like, are those two interrelated somehow?
Well, I find that interesting just because of our seasonality too. Like our literal seasons. I didn't think that we'd ever run into a homeless issue here because the winters are so cold and so rough
and wet and terrible.
Yeah, it's like how the hell does that? Like you think that homeless would try and get out of here?
Not want to be here, right?
Yeah,
right. It's crazy. I don't know. So that's number 1 and number 7. Number 2, which we know we talked about, traffic congestion and growth capacity. So I-15 and east to west corridors, everything's packed.
Yeah.
You can't get anywhere during rush hour in any efficient time.
Yeah.
But there's a ton on the docket, which these are things that the state has to pay attention to, basically. And I know there's a ton on the docket. We're seeing it, like the Mountain View corridor connecting from west over to I-15 to feed that, and then going over to...
Well, even Bangor, all of the work they've been doing the past 10 years on eliminating all the stoplights and just creating ramps.
That's free-flowing now.
Oh
all the way to 41st South.
I'm yet to try it out. I need to, though, just for the sake of trying it out, because it's got to be so freeing.
For sure. So that's a big thing they need to focus on. I was shocked by this. Apparently, the state has a 3rd grade reading proficiency in general.
Really?
So...
I mean, I'm probably part of that stat.
Early literacy is below targets, and it has downstream effects on the workforce. I was like, dang, that's weird. I mean, why?
I mean,
and that's unique to Utah.
Oh, it's unique to Utah. Interesting.
Yes, that's a Utah thing. Now, I'm sure there's other states.
We just got to be better at AI than other states.
Yeah,
we got to have other things reading for us. That's the only thing I think.
So apparently that's an issue. College graduation rates, enrollment is good, but completion is not. The interesting thing, though...
I'm part of that stat, too.
So am I. And I think we've got a young generation that at heart is entrepreneurial and creative, which honestly is probably part of why the state is so successful. Because neither you or I finished college. We went to college. We learned some. But, I mean, I was just like, forget it. I know what I want to do, and it's on my back to go do it. I don't need the degree. So I just ran with it. I think that's why we see
copy and paste for me is the exact same thing. It's like
it's weird.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a stat maybe to pay attention to, but
because then I've also heard in the same sentence that many people, and I don't know how true this is, that Utah is the most entrepreneurial state.
Right. And so I think those two probably go hand in hand.
Yeah, it has to.
That
makes sense.
Now, here's the one that everyone is freaking out about. And I do think if somebody's listening and you have a respected guest that we could reach out to talk about this, we do want to talk about this topic and understand it better, but it's water in Utah. We're a desert. Clearly, we have issues with water and risks with water, but the Great Salt Lake depletion. This is apparently a really big deal. KEM C. Gardner, the report calls it an existential crisis for Utah, which is nuts. So apparently there's a lot of health risks. Apparently the dust emissions can be toxic. Habitat loss for wildlife. So that's a big deal. I don't know enough about it. We're going to talk some today, but I thought that was surprising. Energy supply portfolio. So we have rising demand without a clear plan on how to get and maintain energy here in Utah. So that rounds out the list. We had a group come and talk
to us yesterday about a little bit about that too. Were they talking, and we can cut this out if we need to, but they were saying that some large corporation needed energy and they cut out energy for some homes for a couple of hours. Was that in Utah?
No. Okay, that was in Utah. I think they said that was in back east, like Memphis or something like that. Can't remember what they said. But anyway, that's wild.
Yeah,
You know
we can't have that happening here.
For sure not. We'd be screwed.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's interesting is there are some of the data centers here, at least one of the big ones, Nova Data Center, I think that's the newest one, was not forced by the state but opted to do a no water facility.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there are conservation efforts happening. They have some plans, but that rounds out the list of the troubling 7. So now what are the solutions? And I thought this was pretty cool. There are some legit solutions made, and this is what I would like to dive deeper into.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently there's a House bill going through Utah legislation that let me just read here. I want to say this properly. So it allows the state to lease water rights, purchase water rights, or even accept donated water rights, which I assume there will be some tax benefits or something from people to create more flow into the Great Salt Lake and sustain and hopefully increase the levels. Because apparently we only need, and I say only, but we only need 3 to 10 feet of elevation rise in the Great Salt Lake to solve it. 6, 7. We only need 3 to 10 feet to solve this issue, which is like 1 million acre feet. So they have a plan for it. And I was really impressed by that House bill that's going through. And again,
one thing I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, and people in the comments feel free to tell me. I heard that they were looking to take water from Utah Lake, put it into
Great Salt Lake?
the Great Salt Lake from the Jordan River, and then that will free up land in Utah Lake for more infrastructure.
That's interesting. I
could be making that up, though.
Yeah, I didn't see that. It might be part of this House bill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
But the cool thing that I thought about that House bill, just in general, off the cuff, I don't know enough to know all the details.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to bring somebody on that knows more. But it's that by allowing people who own the water rights to lease them to the state or let them be purchased by the state so there's an actual budget for it, or even donate to the state if they want some other economic benefit, it aligns the economic interests. The state needs the water. Right. The people own the water. What used to happen is if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
You don't get to sell it to there was no economic benefit for the owner. So what's the natural inclination? Well, naturally, you're like, there's, scarcity built within the human psyche. And it's like, well, I don't need it this year, but I might need it next year or the next year or in 10 years. So I don't want to lose it. So I'm just going to use it, which means I'm going to waste it, which is crazy. This bill, at least from my perspective,
kind of that's what's happening with solar, right? Because I understand, I don't have solar myself, but if you don't use it, you can sell it back.
That's how I understand. I don't know how it works in Utah, but that's a similar concept. Essentially, it's giving an economic benefit to align the incentives with the state and the owners, the private owners, to do this. And that could solve, and it already is apparently solving a big portion of that issue. And they are.
Sweet.
So they are funneling water from Utah Lake already. Okay.
Yes, I think that solves 2 issues. Number 1, the water issue in Great Salt Lake. And number 2, it frees up more land in that Utah city area.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool.
Because it's not like the Utah Lake's really being used all that much anyways.
Right. Yeah. Apparently there's a $40 million state authorized trust fund to work with all this, acquire, lease, and donate rights, fund wetland restoration, which is probably the Utah Lake thing, I'll bet, and shepherd the water to the lake, to the Great Salt Lake. So those funds are already transacting now. Transactions already happening. There is a secondary water metering mandate. So all pressurized secondary connections have to be metered by 2030. So that's interesting. Wow. That's apparently to track waste, and there will be a tiered pricing model applied to that for any of these cities that have secondary water. So wait, let me
make sure I understood this correctly. If you are currently on culinary water, you have to switch to secondary water?
No. If you have secondary, it's currently not metered.
Gotcha.
Every home will be metered, and there will be tiered pricing.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it increases the budget for the state, which is probably good. Seems like we have to do it. So it's like, whether it's good or not, it's kind of a necessary thing. New technology being put in to reduce depletion and generate conserved water groundwater and different things to help fuel some of this. Yeah.
I mean, none of these seem too bad. The only thing that concerns me is home prices, right?
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that I could see would be a big negative from this. And my thing is, if you shouldn't have to worry if you're in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you own a home, you get to reap the benefits. Your home value is only going up.
100. I mean, that, and we're biased, but that to me is the only logical reaction to this is there are issues. These issues aren't going away.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one thing that I think it spells for sure in 9 years is if you own real estate now, you're going to be richer in 9 years.
Exactly. And who's to say, and you probably have a good, if you're not ready yet, you probably have a good 4 to 5 years to game plan for this before you even start to see the big effects of this take place.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So it seems like water's being solved. Apparently they only need to divert like 250 to 500,000 acre feet of water over a certain period of time, and they're already at like 125,000 right now. Okay. So things are going in the right direction. Now, this was crazy, to your point, housing affordability. So that's an issue right now, which is weird. Despite the income and the just generally great economy, it's still a problem. So they're doing a community land trust, or at least this is proposed. This is actually proposed by the KEM C Gardner Institute. So a community land trust where they have the ability to receive donated land from either public, from churches, schools, or UDOT land, and hold it in perpetuity, own the land forever, but they put it on ground leases.
Oh, wait, like
and then create more affordable housing.
Is that kind of like Mexico, though? Isn't that
but Mexico's? It's all over the place. There's like City Creek is a ground lease.
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha.
It happens all over the place,
okay.
But that's something that they're thinking like to do in a more formalized, broad scale.
That's an idea, yeah.
Yeah, but the focus here is it creates more affordable housing because apparently the average land cost in Utah is $140,000 just for the land per unit. So if you eliminate 140 grand from the land, that house just comes. I mean, our average is what, or our median home price is 500 and some odd thousand.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes out like 25% of the cost, which creates much more affordability. But here's the crazy thing, to your point.
Well, and that's like $900 a month in a monthly payment.
Yeah, just the land, which is nuts. So that creates some of the affordability. Obviously this is a proposal, an idea. This is not something in motion. But, I think about it like, okay, well, in that case, to your point earlier, if they go down that approach to create affordable housing, what increases in value, what's valuable, is the land you own. That's the actual real estate that you own. It's not valuable to own the building that depreciates over time.
Yeah, and just creates more headache.
Right. It's the land is what's valuable. So it's like that does create a housing solution, creates more housing, more affordable housing. I don't think it's short term, but it makes ownership more compelling. Mm-hmm. If you want to own real estate as part of your wealth plan, which is how we phrase it. We don't phrase it as like buy a home so you have housing. No, because frankly, right now you can go rent a house for cheaper.
Yeah,
but you can't go rent a house for cheaper and create wealth at the same time. No. So that's pretty crazy. Something interesting. The I-15
basically going to be seen. And sorry to go back on this, but it's basically going to be glorified lot rent.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, you don't own the land. You lease the land. You own the house. Now, could that? I'm sure. We'd have to do some research. I think it probably does go up in value some
to a point,
just because of supply and
then you
demand.
see diminishing returns, and then
right. But you don't own it.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird concept.
Like if they decide to change the land use, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Huh? I'll have to do some more research on that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, now going in, transportation and energy, those are the three kind of highlights that I did was the water issue, housing affordability issue. I wanted to talk about that, what's going on, and then I-15. So we're doing a huge project all across Salt Lake, and I think into Utah and Davis County. Huge widening of I-15. So I can't wait for all the traffic. That should be fun.
Yeah, for the next 10 years.
Yeah, but they are planting fiber under the
cool.
road. So from an infrastructure standpoint, that way there's going to be a huge improvement that'll serve our state and communities for a long time. The widening will. And you know what's crazy is they want to, from the water thing, apparently they're talking about or even offering incentives for eliminating your grass in yards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So homeowners can get incentives for that, or maybe it's either happening or it's going, or it could happen. It's proposed.
Just turning into like zero scape.
Yeah, zero scape or whatever, and you get incentivized to do that, and I think it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And let's see.
So back off, people. We're not turning into LA. We're turning into Phoenix.
Yeah, but with hopefully more water because we have
exactly.
a plan. I mean, that's a crazy thing. At least we have water coming from somewhere. Phoenix doesn't have water coming from anywhere.
Right.
They have to get water from us, basically, in Denver. We have...
Let's just pray we have a good winter during Winter Olympics.
Or over the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Some good winters.
Exactly.
They've not been terrible over the past few years.
Yeah.
I think net positive in a pretty big way. And then there are plans for dramatic increases to energy creation in the state. Approving projects, it's a focal point for the state, which is really cool. So that's really all I've got. It's a crazy thing and uncovered some really interesting talking points and kind of opened my mind up to what we're facing as a state. But I feel good to know that we have such a great economy. It seems like we have a clear direction on solving these issues, even though they may not be solved perfectly, and there's other opinions. I mean, let's be collaborative and come up with a solution because we all benefit and we all thrive from a solution being made, not just stonewalling and complaining about what somebody's doing. And, let's at least try to get the solutions, and I think that's happening.
Yeah, I agree. And again, to echo what you said earlier, if you or someone you know is an expert in any of these fields, let us know. We'd love to have you on and pick your brain and just educate everyone on what's going on.
100%. Yeah, we're going to kind of go on a run on this. We feel like it's really important to understand what's going on in the state, what it means, what the solutions are, and get hopefully community involvement. Like that's the one thing that this inspired me to do is like, okay, I need to know more about some of this stuff that's happening. Like I try to just like bury my head a little bit and not pay attention to the politics and some of these issues because it just gets ugly and it drains me.
You got to turn a blind eye to some things, but keep an open mind for other things. Just so we can best guide our clients too.
Yeah, and at least know what the heck we're up against so that we can make an impact as a community. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to like and follow, subscribe, do all the things, comment, and thank you all for supporting us. Hopefully this was a good one. Share with us also if there's any topics you want us to talk about and guests that would be experts to help us learn and understand this and share a little bit better. But thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in. For more industry insights, follow us on all platforms at Loans Elevated.
And to get in touch with our team, call or text 801-713-4000 or visit loanselevated.com.